Welcome to the Cleric Corner, where we talk about all things Dungeons and Dragons, and we tap into our higher powers to create worlds that are more unique and stories that are more impactful. Clicking on this video, you might be thinking, boy, what an appropriate video for a channel called the Cleric Corner. This guy must really like clerics. And the answer is, yes, I do. And although I do enjoy all of the other classes in more ways than one, if I had to choose, clerics would take the cake. The reason being, clerics are as diverse as the pantheon of gods in your world or the belief systems that you have in place. Each character that is a cleric is so different in personality and power that the flavor and roleplay opportunities, in my opinion, are still so greatly untapped. They really provide a diversity that is also so inclusive. And that's largely why I chose the Cleric Corner to be the title of this channel. Aside from its sweet alliteration, if we just look at the clerical tropes, they are healers, they bring people together, and their wisdom and knowledge adds value to other people. In this case, I'm not sharing a religion or faith in a D&D context, but I do want to share the value to you from what I've gotten from the game. So if I was a D&D cleric, what do you think my subclass would be? So in the spirit of making our clerics more impactful and unique, the D&D Player's Handbook says the following. Divine magic, as the name suggests, is the power of the gods flowing from them into the world. Clerics are conduits of that power, manifesting it as miraculous effects. The gods don't grant this power to everyone who seeks it, but only to those chosen to fulfill a higher calling. But what if your power doesn't come from a god? What if you weren't the chosen one? Or what if you don't have a higher calling? Could you still play a cleric? And in my opinion, yes. And you'd be doing the game a favor. You wouldn't be breaking anything mechanically, but unlocking roleplay and experiences and storylines that would otherwise be non-existent. So I will go over 10 ways that clerics could obtain their magic or power, and you can twist it and change it to how you see fit for your own games. We'll start with some simple ones and then get a little crazy. And if this video adds value to you, and you would like me to make similar videos about the other classes, make sure to let me know down in the comments. Also make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that we can continue to beat the YouTube algorithm and spread the good word of Dungeons and Dragons. Number 1, favor of a god. This is the regular, more common way that clerics get their magic, but I do want to touch on it because there is so much more untapped potential. And I think it's important to know the semantics. This is when the power that you get comes directly from your god, meaning that it is not your power, it's their power being channeled through you. It is also based on the favor and piety that you have in your god. And if your god is displeased with you, or your god finds someone better, you may be looking at losing your powers. And I can already hear the comments saying, wait, take away the power from your players? Like, are you crazy? But why not? As long as the DM and the players have this conversation beforehand, it could make up for fantastic storytelling. If you're familiar with the shows Critical Role or Exandria Unlimited, both the characters Ford and Opal go through this. In my opinion, this relationship is very similar to warlocks, where your power is subject on somebody else giving it to you. And where the warlocks may be giving you a written pact, your god is more word of mouth, and to me that could be a little more dangerous to break. Or in your game it could simply be based on the honor system. Number 2, curse from a god. Speaking of warlocks, they're a great example of a relationship that your player is not too keen on cultivating. In a clerical standpoint, it doesn't say anywhere that you have to have faith in your god, or that you even have to like your god in the first place. Perhaps they forcibly chose you as their champion. Perhaps you are an unwilling vessel for this god. Perhaps you're the chosen one, or a fulfiller of a prophecy of a religion that you don't want anything to do with. Or perhaps cursed in other ways with this god, and just by proximity or relation to him or her or it, you gain their powers. Or perhaps a god has favored your family and has blessed you, the bloodline, with this power, and you want nothing to do with it. And your journey throughout the entire campaign might be either embracing this gift or curse or power that you've been given, or striving to just get rid of it. Number 3, faith in your god. In this example, your power doesn't come from your god itself, but rather the faith that you have in your god. The stronger your faith in your deity, the stronger your power becomes. The magic comes from your resolve or your devotion, and paladins are very familiar with this idea. However, that does mean that if your character struggles with their faith or starts to disbelieve in their god, it is then that their power might dwindle. And in that situation, they might have another god that they gain faith in, or the DM would allow them to completely change their subclass or class altogether. Either way, I like this option because it puts the power in the player's hands, where it's not the god telling them if or if not they can have their powers, but solely based on their own choices and what they choose to believe in. Number 4, scripture. We are already familiar with gaining magic through hard work and study through the wizard class. The wizard devotes themselves to memorization and learning the mathematics when it comes to magic, growing their intellect. And in the cleric's case, they could probably do the same thing with scripture. But instead of learning things like mathematical equations, the clerics are learning the tenets of their god. And in this way, they learn how to cast spells by the way that they act, or scripture could just be an assortment of divine mathematic equations. In this way, the clerics devote themselves to the memorization of scripture, and instead of intelligence, they grow their wisdom. There have been attempts with unearthed arcana and subclasses with a ttrpg wizard, but I'm talking about clerics today. And as these clerics continue to learn from their good book, they will continue to grow in their power. But just like the wizard, it may not be a good idea to lose that book. Number 5, belief in yourself. Forget the gods. You find magic in the tenets and beliefs of love, peace, belonging, etc. You may be, in this case, a philosophy cleric, where you have certain ideals and values and morals or other commitments that you believe in so much that it manifests power within you. What if the world has no gods? Or your character just has faith in themselves to get the job done? I think there's definitely magic in that. And as long as your character is strong in these beliefs, they are a force to be reckoned with. And this is a fun example because it can actually lean a lot into charisma stats instead of wisdom. And hey, if it makes sense for your player, let them use charisma casting instead of wisdom casting when they cast their spells. I don't think that's too much of a price to pay for a really good story and a really good backstory. Number 6, herbs and medicine. Again, gods may be non-existent, or you may just have not found one you really liked, but you still want to heal people. You still want to help people. You are the battle medic. And this could take a lot of reflavoring, but the mechanics still stay the same. Your healing spells and other spells could take the form of quickly compiling a potion on the fly and throwing them at other players. Or you can easily MacGyver these concoctions at the beginning of each day as you prepare your spells. Or you could compare this magic to the way the artificer gets their magic, where you write runes or something similar on items that give off these spells. Now, you may be sitting there wondering at this point, well, you mentioned wizard and paladin and artificer. Why don't you just play those classes? And I say, if those classes fit better to your character that you want to play, do that. But if you prefer playing a cleric and prefer the mechanics and the way the cleric is played, or you want to go about it in just a unique way, these options are for you. Besides, if you look at the mechanics outside of the game and just kind of picture it as a real world, magic is fluid and weird. It's not this person a wizard and this person is a druid. People just have magic and it manifests in countless ways. As long as you're having fun, we can think outside the box a little bit. Number 7, your blood. You may have some mommy or daddy issues in the sense that you are a descendant of a greater or lesser deity. Being on good terms with them is irrelevant, but the power is literally your birthright. You can flex those heavenly muscles and unleash the power within you. Maybe you don't even know who your parents are, and you're trying to figure out where your powers came in the first place. And again, this would be when the divine sorcerer just wouldn't fit the bill. Perhaps a lot of your divine magic takes the form of electricity and thunder. You could be a descendant of Cord, the Stormlord, and take the Tempest Domain Cleric. Don't want a god involved at all? You could get this power from ancestors who have passed on. Or you could just get the power from whatever plane of existence you want. A Twilight Cleric from the Shadowfell that's absorbing magic from it? That's pretty cool. Number 8, Divine Magic Item. Imagine your character goes out adventuring and comes upon a magic item from a deity. In this case, we'll say a helm or a helmet. When the player puts on the helm, the divine powers is imbued into this character. The character doesn't even need to have faith in this god or know even who this god is. It could be that this character could don and doff this helm as needed, or it could be cursed and they can never take off the helm. Or if you want to make an entire growth arc for your character, this could be the start of a whole deific set. Is deific a word? Sure. Where as they journey, they find something like a book or a scepter or a reliquary, where their level up system is entirely based on finding these magic items or practicing them as they go. Normally, these items wouldn't have any additional benefits unless you're a really kind dungeon master and implement some sort of feat system or other abilities that add to the cleric. And you can avoid other players using these items by connecting them all to the original item that the cleric was bonded to. It could be the mere preference of this forgotten god, just really favoring this particular cleric, or something about the nature of the cleric themselves that maybe they don't know about. It's up to you. Number 9, your followers. Let's say you're part of an organized religion, or a cult if you want to go that route. Let's go even further and say that you are the leader of this organization and that your power literally comes from the plethora of followers that believe in you. And you derive power from their devoutness to your cause or purpose. And this could implement so many interesting facets where not only are you an adventurer, but you also have followers to please, promises to keep, and a church to keep running while you're out and about adventuring. As long as you have the followers that continue to support you while you're out doing whatever you set out to do, you'll have the power to do it. Number 10, and this one's a big one, the Priesthood. On the other end of the spectrum with organized religion, you don't gain your power from followers, but you gain power from the hierarchy. Priesthood is the hierarchy in the organization or church or cult where they delegate the leaders and the responsibility in the organization. Instead of the power going from the bottom up, it comes from the top down. The top clerics or acolytes choose who this gift is given to, and as other organization members are promoted or given facets of leadership, they are then given these powers through a method of laying on of hands or a similar method, thus obtaining a rank or a station inside the organization. This could also go beyond religion or faith if you want to use some of the other methods in a hierarchy coming from a government or a hierarchy coming from a guild or any other organization that you can think of. But the real question is, if you got your power from them, where did they get their power? Now, these are just the beginning of so many ideas and backstories that I can think of, but I just want you to play your cleric the way that you want to and have fun doing it. And I can't wait for the unique stories and experiences that you guys will have, and hopefully you'll share it with me. So, hopefully I've convinced you on how cool clerics can be, and if you have other ideas of where clerics can source their magic, please add to the comments below. And of course, if you want me to make other videos similar to this one, again, about the other classes, put those in the comments as well. In the meantime, go out there and spread the good word of Dungeons and Dragons so that we can have a better world both on and off our tables. See you in the next one.